Facebook family, for the last year of the event. This is the last episode. We thank you for allowing us to come into your house today. We have some great stuff going on today. We're going to be talking on our last series about generational wealth and health. We have spent from Thanksgiving to now talking about health, healthy eating, what we should take, what our diet should be. Tonight, we're going to conclude it with a great person who I adore, who I think is doing a great job, Takara. I'm going to, like I said earlier, the cavalry is not coming. The cavalry is not coming. The creek has rose and the levee has given way. It's up to us to save us. One of the things that we got to change is the way we eat. We got to change the way we think, and we got to change the way we spend our money. We have to start betting on ourselves. So without any further ado, we have a great person that's going to be speaking to us tonight. I have some loaded questions. I have been bombarded with questions about this. When I first posted it, I had about 8 people call me and say, I want to ask this question. I want to ask this question. You know what I told them? Sign on, and tonight we're going to be able to answer all those questions for you. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring to you guys, I want Takara to kind of let us know a little bit about you and then a little bit about your company before we get into the questions, because everybody got a lot of questions. So before we go there, I want to talk to them a little bit about you, Takara.
Well, as you can see, my name is Takara Bumpus Otieno. I am a mother of 3 beautiful, handsome sons, 17, 16, and I have a 5-year-old. So just a little bit, just kind of go back to basis on the health journey and why we're here right now, and why we're getting ready to speak about this topic. A little bit about me. Briefly, I've come into the 7th day Adventist church, and that's where my health journey began. So learning about the health message. As a mother of 3, growing up, growing up with as my children are growing up, I'm learning how to assist them with their health. So what I want to talk about really is going to help families, mothers, because we eat from our family's table, from our mother's table. So just a little more about me. As a young mother growing up, as my mother, my grandmother growing up, we were learning to eat certain foods, and we ate from my grandmother's table. So health for me is more of a lifestyle. It's a journey. So what I wanted to do tonight is really about education. So I really want this evening to really be focused on about our homes, our families, our children, and how to move forward when it comes to our health. So as a mother, it's so important for me to educate other mothers on what we are feeding our children. This is a generational thing, as Cepeda has been talking about in his series lately about health. This is wealth as well. So I'm a mother. This business of vision came from just as a vision. Actually, I felt the Lord gave me this vision for vision. Wow. And just to briefly to tell you what vision means, the VI, as you see on the screen, and Zion, the VI stands for is a Roman numeral of the number 6. Okay, 6 represents man. Okay, that dash in between means it's a restoration, and Zion means your optimal place in God, where you're supposed to be. So Zion means your position, your where we're supposed to be. So vision means being restored, man being restored back to its original place, to its original position, the way God intended for us to be. So as a woman of faith, I am a Christian unapologetically. As a woman of faith, I believe that we were created by God and he's designed us, and we're going to get into that. I don't want to get too heavy into it right now, but that is what vision stands for, is man being restored back to its original place and position on this planet.
Okay, so once again, she covered a whole nutshell. But one of the things that she said is, she said she's a mother. She said that she's teaching her kids how to eat, and that's important because once again, we're talking about one generation to the next, right? So without any further ado, me and her have great conversations. We're going to get right into it. I'm starting to get questions already. So I haven't even posted none yet. So once again, a little bit about visions. Okay, so as they've started to look at our flyer, the first question that I'm going to ask, and we're going to get right into it because I want to make sure that everybody get an understanding of what this new diet is. And I want to disclose this as a disclaimer at the very beginning. This is not an all in all bullet, okay? But what we're trying to do is get you, the audience, to at least try something. Mm-hmm. And this is a good place to start. We're not suggesting that you have to start it. Consult with your physician. If you need anything, by all means, consult with your physician. But what we're trying to do is educate you on what's out there and where you can call to find more information about different diets to where it can help you live a cleaner, more healthier life. Okay. The first question is, what is this thing, Takara, that everybody is talking about? BIOMINERAL balanced diet. What is it? Tell me what it is, because I've heard so many different stories. Break it down and tell me what it is. What is it?
So basically, the African BIOMINERAL balance basically is just a alternative therapeutic balance. It's just an alternative holistic approach to healing of the body. It's not really difficult. The African BIOMINERAL balance, you hear in the first part of the name, African, right?
Okay.
And we're dealing with our community. This is for all people, okay? This is for all all people. It supports the African genome, or the healthy expression of all people, of all races. So we're dealing with the African genome or the African structure. So the African BIOMINERAL balance is basically a therapeutic approach to healing. So to healing of all diseases. So to kind of put it in a more, layman terms, if you understand history, and we're dealing with our culture, right, our community, right, if we go back and we look at history, the history of health, where we come from, where our ancestors come from, and that is where it starts. That's where you begin, and that is where our roots are. And that's where we have to go back to understanding who we are and understanding our lineage. Just recently, I'll throw this in there quickly, a young lady who I know, shout out to Alania Moore, but there was something she said. I was listening to 95.1, I think it's called The Light Radio, and I was listening to that, and she mentioned something that was powerful about lineage. And this is where our history begins. It's our lineage. The African BIOMINERAL balance is our lineage when it comes to health, when it comes to food and supporting the healthy genome or the structure of the human body, not just the African or the African American, but like I said, of all people. And so we're dealing with it on a cellular level, because we're not dealing with maintaining illnesses or disease. We're dealing with healing and curing. Okay.
Wow.
And
Did y'all catch what she said? Did y'all catch what she said? She's dealing with healing and curing, not maintaining. So we want to make sure that the audience understands this is an alternative to some of the medicines that might be out there. We suggest that you contact your physician, make sure that you're not having any allergic reactions or whatever. But we want to make sure that people understand that there is an alternative to what it is, and it's called BIOMINERAL balanced diet, correct?
Correct. Right. And I don't like to use even the word diet. It really has to become to a degree, a lifestyle.
Lifestyle.
Yeah,
So
we
once
use
again,
diet a lot in a
okay,
lot of other health, messages that are out there. So many other different types of medicine, traditional medicine, and we use that word diet. But this is really about becoming a lifestyle, and this is a journey. Health is a journey. The health process is a journey, and this is not easy because we have been in this health, journey, or this learning, this education for years. And so we're going to get into that, but go ahead.
okay. So my question is, I have one question out the gate. How long have you been doing this? How long have you been practicing this?
So I myself, just personally, this journey for me has, I would say, really started, I would say in 2000. Now, my health journey, as I mentioned, I came into the Adventist space in 2014. I graduated from a ministry school called Emmaus. I don't know if you guys have ever heard biblically the road to Emmaus, which stands for Evangelism, Medical Ministry, anchored upon scripture. I'll repeat that: evangelism, medical ministry, anchored upon scripture. Okay, we're going to get into that. But I started that journey of health and the health message back in 2000, and I would say really 2014, which was after I graduated from this medical ministry
Wow.
school.
So once again, we have somebody that's not only been doing it, she's been practicing it, she's been using it, and she's been doing this for a minute. So once again, the Calvary is not coming, ladies and gentlemen. The creek has rose and the levee has given way. It's up to us to save us. This is an opportunity. Get your kids together, get your family together, send this to somebody else so that you can become educated on exactly how this can help you benefit yourself. Now there's no excuse why you have to be obese, on diabetes, cancer, all of those things. We're going to talk about that today. Why is this African biomineral balance lifestyle, okay? Why is it needed in our community? Why isn't people talking about it?
Right. So the reason why it is needed in our community, especially now more than ever, is because you guys know what we're in right now. Okay,
COVID.
we're in a COVID crisis.
Okay.
But listen, we were in a crisis well before COVID even came on the scene. Okay, we
Okay.
were in a health crisis well before COVID came on the scene in March of 2020. Actually, I believe it was on the scene before then, but that's a whole nother story. The reason why it's so needed right now in our community is because as the African, again, I'm going to keep repeating the word African, an African American community, is because we are more susceptible to certain diseases. The word disease means dis-ease somewhere in the body. There's dis-ease going on somewhere in the body. So the reason why we need this information of the African biomineral balance, or this therapeutic message of healing, is because of there are certain diseases that we're fighting in the African American community that we're more susceptible to than our Asian or our Caucasian or our Latin American counterparts. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
and things I'm going to name a few, like sickle cell anemia. Okay, those are certain things. Lupus, heart disease, diabetes, type 1 and type 2, certain cancers, Hodgkin's lymphoma, mesothelioma, pancreatic cancer, breast cancers, strokes. So these are diseases that it seems that are more prone in the African American community, and that we're seeing more of. And now that we're in COVID, I see, this is just from my what I observed, I see a lot more African Americans being diagnosed or getting this COVID virus, this COVID-19 or this COVID variant. And now you have these different variants coming into play now. And we're seeing that we're becoming more susceptible. Number one, I have to mention this again. We have to go back to our history. We have to go back to our lineage, and we have to go back to our inheritance of what we intake and put in our temples. Our bodies are a temple. Now, we as Africans, Okay, we're in America, but we're Africans. It doesn't matter if you're in Cuba, Puerto Rico, if you're in Haiti, if you're in Jamaica, if you're in the Dominican Republic, if you are in Port St. Lucia, the Grenadines. We are all over this planet, but we are Africans. And because we are Africans, we are different. And because we are different, we're not different in a way of we still we're part of the human race, of course, but we were designed to eat a certain type of food. Okay, we were designed to eat a certain have a certain lifestyle and certain foods that we have come out of. Now I'm going to mention something many people have heard of. uh, Alfredo Bowman, aka Dr. Sebi. Okay. If you
Okay.
haven't already, most people should. With
Okay.
many of us in the so-called conscious community have heard of him.
Okay.
Uh, but this is all I'm not reinventing the wheel. This is information has been already put out there, and many people have heard of the African biomineral balance or the alkaline lifestyle or the alkaline diet, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
But there is proof, and there's scientific proof as well, that this therapeutic lifestyle, that this biomineral balance has healed diseases and viruses that the Western medicine say there is no cure.
Hold
Well,
on. So you're saying, so I've heard this argument. So you're saying Dr. Sebi is somebody who is the platform of the foundation of where
the
you're at.
foundation.
So we have heard of him. These type of things that he's talked about has actually healed people, and there's documentation of it. And
Yes.
this is something that you just piggybacking off of, right?
Right. I'm
So
just expounding upon and getting the information out there because a lot of people we're still ignorant of this information. We're still dependent upon Western medicine as the only way to healing, is the only way to survival, is the only way to live. We think Western medicine is the only way, but that's as we've seen, and this is just not coming from me or even coming from they call him aka Dr. Savior Alfredo Bowman. There are many people who understand that that a plant-based, a whole food plant-based lifestyle is the way to go. I'm just taking it a step further. We're just taking it a step further, a deep further, when we're incorporating specific types of foods, specific types of herbs that actually heal the body. We are made up of elements, okay?
wow.
So
So we already have everything that we have, and these medicines that we have is already before us. It's just a matter of us just utilizing it. And that brings me to the next question. How do this alkaline electric herbs and foods work? How do they work? I don't know. As we talked earlier before we got on the show, I got a six pack now. So I did it the hard way, the old fashioned way. But I also cut out a lot of things in my diet. In all actuality,
right.
I cut out a lot of pop. I watch what I eat. I don't eat certain foods. I eat a lot of vegetables and I fast a lot. So that how does this alkaline? What are some of the foods that are alkaline based? What is that? I see alkaline water. I drink that. My daughter got me on that. Mariah, the president of Mad Capital, she got me on the alkaline water. I do some of that. But what is some of these things that you're talking about that everybody is raving about? This
Okay.
organic alkaline. What is it? I
Okay.
don't
So
know.
you were saying you work out and everything. Majority of it, 80 to 85% of it is dealing with diet. It's dealing with food when it comes to your health. When you're trying to get abs, and men are trying to see their abs, or women are trying to be more toned. 20% of it is exercise, but the majority of it is what you consume, what you put
Okay.
in your body. Okay.
Okay.
So if you want to be toned, if you want to look a certain way, because there's a lot of people out there, they look good. They look muscular. They look strong. They look
They look like me. They look like me.
they look like you. You can get the 6 pack or the 12 pack, and you can get that.
Mhm.
But what I'm saying is, you can still look a certain way. Don't judge a book by its cover, but just because you look a certain way doesn't mean, because there were a lot of healthy people that looked good, that passed because of this virus coming in, because of COVID. So don't let that fool you, thinking that, oh, they look toned, they look muscular, because you can be looking good and healthy on the outside, but dying on the inside.
Okay.
So I want to get into how do alkaline electric earths. We have a electric body, okay? We are made up of the earth. Again, I'm a person of faith. I believe that we were created by a designer, by a creator, by God. Okay, I believe we were created and designed by God. And I believe that God had already instituted a plan for what the body needed. He knows what the body needs. He designed the body. The body is a machine, okay? And in order for it to function on the most optimal level possible, we had to give it the fuel that it needs. The body needs fuel, just like your vehicle, it needs a certain type of fuel. If you have a certain type of car, you can't just put regular 89. If you got a Mercedes Benz, you don't put 89 in it. You might have to put premium in it, right?
Correct.
For it to function and operate. So it's the same thing for us. If you want to operate and function on the most optimal level, there are specific foods that you have to put in. They're called electric foods and electric herbs in order to function on this planet on the most optimal level that I believe God has designed us to. So just to name a few, which a lot of people have heard of.
Let's name because that's the question that they're trying to ask me. What is it? What is this stuff that you're talking about?
Electric herbs. We're dealing with one of the foods.
What are some of the type of foods? What are some of the
one of the foods is a seafood. It's a sea. No. Listen. Let me back up. It's a sea plant.
Okay.
Skip what I just said before. Not seafood. Sea plant. Everyone's heard of Irish sea moss.
Okay.
Irish sea moss, right, is made up of tons of elements. It's tons of minerals. Excuse me. What the body needs is minerals. Okay. So because the body needs minerals, we're made up of certain elements, and Irish sea moss has 92 of the 102 minerals that the body is made of. So you have we have carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, C.H.O. So the foods that we must eat must contain what our body is made up of. Our body is made up of elements, so we must eat foods that are made up of elements. So a lot of your fruits and your vegetables, such as people have heard of, I don't know if it's a type of green, it's called callaloo, right?
Okay.
You want to eat your seeded fruits. Your seeded fruits. The Bible says, if you go back and look at the beginning in Genesis, he said, I'm going to quote, "You may eat of every fruit and herb yielding seed." A seed, I want to expound on this for a moment, Cepeda, okay?
Okay.
As we have to have a seed in order to do what? Reproduce. Reproduction. A man, in order for that man to have a child, he has to have a seed to implant, right, into his wife in order for him to reproduce children. So with food, our food must contain a seed in order for it to reproduce.
Like watermelon?
Right? Like watermelon, yes.
All right. Cantaloupe?
Seeded watermelon, seeded cantaloupe, seeded key limes, which is one of my favorite foods. Key limes are extremely potent and powerful, okay?
Tomatoes?
So certain tomatoes, your Roma tomatoes and your grapes, if it has the seed in it and you can plant that seed into the ground and it can be reproduced. Your peppers, red, green, yellow. God has a variety of various foods all around the world that we hear sometimes in Western society and in Western medicine we don't have access to. A lot of our foods that are for the African genome we find in our places like Jamaica, Haiti, Honduras, Guatemala, the Grenadines, the islands, even in Asian communities like Vietnam and Thailand. A lot of the foods that are in these warm environments where you're getting your vitamin D, a lot of the foods that we need, some people know about, have heard of food like soursop.
Okay.
Guanabana, which is extremely powerful, which actually, and many people have heard this and know this, it actually kills cancer cells.
Say that again. What is that stuff?
It's called, we call it soursop.
Okay.
Jamaicans call it soursop. Jamaican people know of it. or the word in the Latina community, they call it guanabana.
Guanabana.
And it's a fruit, and it's extremely powerful. It has so much rich minerals, antioxidants in it. It actually has cancer, anti-inflammatory, antiviral, and anti-cancer killing minerals and nutrients in it. Because what our body needs is minerals, but it also needs nutrients and phytonutrients. Okay,
Wow. So
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 mhm.
so 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 hold up now. So audience, if you guys are missing this, don't be selfish. You need to tag somebody to get them onto here because she is educating us. If you are dealing with cancer, if you're dealing with diabetes, if you're dealing with anything of that nature, she's giving you some stuff that you can go to an organic store, I assume, right? And order or get or
And
call
for
her.
myself, they can
We're going
reach
to get
me.
we're
I can
going
get
to we're going to give her information out to where you personally can go on there and order the things from her and get yourself on the health path. Now, the Calvary ain't coming, ladies and gentlemen. The creek, the rose, and the levee has given way. It is up to us to save us. We have to bet on ourselves and believe that we can get this done. We're talking about generational wealth. If you have a kid that's struggling with these type of symptoms, it's not going to cost you one penny to assume or try some of these things that she's talking about. How does some of these foods affect our body, Takar? Because you gave out a lot of these seed-bearing fruits, right? How
right.
does it really affect our body? How does it do it?
So one of the things I want to mention, I mentioned like Irish sea moss, but one of the things I did mention were certain specific herbs. Now, herbs
Okay.
have been around for ancients of times. Herbs were around before the time of Christ. During the time of Christ, even Christ himself mentioned, he would say, they called Christ the lily of the valley. That is actually a herb, in case you didn't know.
Okay.
Christ is the lily of the valley. It is an actual herb. He
Okay.
said, is there a balm in Gilead? Is there a balm in Gilead? A balm in Gilead is an herb, in case you did.
Wow. A
In
bomb.
case, a balm, there's a song called that the Clark sisters did. It
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
Jesus is a balm in Gilead.
Okay.
That is isolve is an herb. This is not new information. This has been around for history and generation. It's just that there was a system that has come into place and has changed and has manipulated and has counterfeited and has really kind of deceived man. And we've come away from it. And I don't know if people know the history of health and how we've gotten into this healthcare system or the medical system, but it all began with John D. Rockefeller. And this is something people can go and look at this, they can research. This is not Takara's opinion, this is facts. John D. Rockefeller came in and he actually turned the way that we look at medicine and understand health. And they have really kind of gone away from the natural alternative way of God, the way God has designed us. So the way food helps our body is, again, I'm gonna keep reiterating this and
Wow.
re-emphasizing this. Food helps heal our body. Food is for fuel, not for fun. I'm gonna repeat.
Wow.
Food is for fuel and not for fun. Okay. So when we're eating food, specific foods, the food is that we eat, such as sarsaparilla is an herb, but it's also a food. Okay. Anyone heard of sarsaparilla? Sarsaparilla is a type of iron food. It's an herb, but you can eat that herb or drink it. I drink mine in a tea, and it gives me energy. It has lots of minerals in it, and which one of the main minerals that the body needs, which fires up the body, is iron. The body needs iron in order to fire it up, right?
Wow.
It is like our fuel that gives you energy to move and to go and to do. Another one that I love, another herb, which is also a food, is burdock. Burdock is another iron food.
So
One
hold up. So all those people that's struggling with anemics, if you are anemic,
anemia, yes.
if you are struggling with that, she's giving you some tools that you can use. You know,
Mhm.
my grandmother, we used to eat liver, right? We used to say, go get some liver and rice to get your
My
iron.
grandmother too.
All right. So she's giving you some modern day foods that we, once again, I'm trying to cover. I got about 20 questions I'm going to ask you at the end. But once again,
But those are specific herbs. Those are specific herbs. That's not just a regular food that you take. Certain foods that contain your iron that you want to eat are things like your hemp and your quinoas, your callaloo, your kale. Those foods those are some of your plant or your vegetation foods that contain also high amounts of iron. Dates.
Kale greens, right?
Kale greens, callaloo.
What about collard greens? Collard greens one?
Collard greens are okay, but it depends on how you're. See, the problem is the way we cook, especially, listen, us African Americans, we like to put some other things in our food.
Like hog maws?
That is actually just, you're destroying the properties and the elements of what it was designed to do. Okay. So cut out the fat back and the hog maw and the turkey meat and all that other mess that we're putting in our foods, and then just leave it alone. You can just steep it or steam it, but sometimes you can just eat it whole. I like to eat kale whole. I'll add a little sliced avocado, some sea salt, and some key lime, and then I have a nice kale salad. And it has a nice crunch to it. And another thing, Cepeda, is people are going to have to get used to this. Our palates, which is those little bumps on the back of our tongue, we have trained and designed our palates to desire and crave sugar and salt. So there's a certain period of time that you have to do we're going to get into this too, fasting, in order to retrain the palate to desire the foods that we're created to eat, so that our bodies can heal, and so that our bodies can restore, and our bodies can renew and replenish. So you have to retrain the palate in order to get used to eating these foods, so that the body can do what was created to and designed to do. We have to retrain the body and create the right environment inside, and the body will do what it's designed to do. It'll naturally heal itself. And it doesn't take a long time. This is not some year-long process. The body, when we create the right environment, the body will do what God created and designed it to do, and it will kill any virus coming along once the body has been prepped and prepared. If COVID or a flu or a cold, when the environment is created inside, that our bodies will reject those viruses, those diseases, those elements, those illnesses that are coming at us from the elements, from the environment.
Okay, so just so that and this is why it's so important, and this is why I've taken a whole month on talking about this as generational wealth, because the number one reason why people file bankruptcy is because of medical. The number one reason is because of medical. So you might be asking me the question, why is, Cepeda, are you talking about health on a wealth generational class? Health. The number one reason why you can lose your wealth is because you have bad health. One of the things that I learned with my mental state, with my emotional state, and with my physical state, it was when I started to change my diet, when I started to change the way I eat, which is my lifestyle, I started to change the times that I ate and how many times I ate a day. Then it started to help my psyche. It started to help my way of thinking, my processing, and it made me a better businessman, right? And then it gave me that confidence, Takara. When I really started it 7 months ago, it gave me confidence to say, bet on myself, because at first I didn't know. Now I believe that the only way we can get there is through good health. You know, when I started to feel better, then I started to make better business decisions. I started to be able to make better deals. The deals started to go a lot quicker. I could process a lot faster. But when
mental clarity,
mental clarity.
It affects our mind. There's something called, and I'm going to just touch on this briefly, the gut-brain connection.
Wow.
There's something called the gut-brain connection.
Y'all pick this up. She's ready to drop a dime on us. Pick it up.
What we put in our guts affects how we mentally perceive. It affects our mental clarity. It affects our mental perspective, how we think, our mindset. And I know that kind of sounds crazy, but really it doesn't. If you think about it, what certain foods, if you're eating foods that have a lot of sugars in them, right? There was a test that was done years ago, and they put someone who was on crack, who was smoking crack or heroin, right? And then a person that was eating an Oreo cookie. Listen to what I'm going to say. This is known too. A person was eating an Oreo cookie. You know that cream that's in the middle of the Oreo cookie?
That's stuff that I like.
Oatmeal pie, Debbie cakes. The neurological, it was sending off receptor. Our brain has something called receptors in it, right? And it was sending off receptors. So they had an individual who had smoked or just shot up heroin, right? And then they had an individual who had just eaten several Oreo cookies, and the same signals were going off in the mind as that if the person who was eating the Oreo cookie was smoking heroin, a drug.
Wow.
Food is a drug. This is not new information. You all know this. People know this, right?
Wow.
What we're talking about today with the African Biomineral Balance Therapeutic Healing, again, you can be a vegetarian or a pescatarian. There's so many names. I'm a vegetarian, I'm a vegan, I'm a pescatarian. I don't do this, I don't do that. What I want to make sure that we understand today, right now, is about healing your disease. I don't care if you've got cancer, an autoimmune disease, if you have we've been in a mental health crisis lately for years. Mental health is one of the major illnesses. It is a disease. It's a disease of the mind. And food affects the mind. That is why the gut-brain connection is extremely important to understand, because what you're intaking in your body affects how you think. It affects how you function. It affects.
So you're telling me, Takara, that when we eat the right foods, right, we are going to think better? Question. Just hint, I'm just saying. The reason why some of your kids might not be producing in school, it could be because too much McDonald's. It could be too much fast food. It could be too much items that we're not eating at home. I remember growing up, my grandmother never really cooked. We never really went out to eat. That could be why we had a lot more common sense now, more so now than we did, because we don't eat at home as often, because after the 60s, we came back from war. A lot of us went into the industry. A lot of single moms, a lot of parents, two-parent homes. We both had to go out to the workforce, which made us go out and eat fast food.
Yeah.
We didn't go out and prepare those meals. Our grandparents did, but this newer generation didn't. So those are the things which we have hypertension in our kids. We have kids that are not settled in school. These are reasons. These could be reasons why.
And we're diagnosing our children with ADD and ADHD, hyperactive, and a lot of the foods have certain preservatives in them, and they have dyes in them, like the yellow dyes and the red dye, those food colorings and stuff. Those affect the neurological. They affect the mind.
Did y'all catch that? The Calvary ain't coming, ladies and gentlemen. The Calvary is not coming. Once again, the creek is rose, the levee is giving way. It's up to you to save you. If you want to save little Johnny, you want to save little Susie, you need to get on this. I'm going to put Takara's number and her name and how you can get in contact with her. There's certain foods that we can eat. I want to give a disclaimer. Contact your doctor to make sure you're not allergic or your kid is not allergic to it. But you can go out and purchase these things. You can call Takara. I'm going to put her number down here in a second. But I want to make sure that we're not missing the message and we just calling her and then we're going to ask her a million questions when she's really giving out the answers right now.
Really, it really is simple. This is just really, we're in the business of educating. We're not in the business of diagnosing. Your doctors can diagnose you, right? They say, okay, well, you have diabetes type 1, you have type 2, you have leukemia, breast cancer, you have whatever, gout, lupus, whatever the case may be. What we're doing is giving you information and educating you, because many people is ignorance. And even our doctors, unfortunately, within the last, I'm going to say 100 years, because of what has happened and what has changed in our society, we're not
Wow.
doctors are not educated when it comes to nutrition. I have friends that are doctors. They have MDDs and MDs and all the letters, PhDs, right? But they're educated in Western medicine, and they're educated. And then this is not to go against doctors, but we have so gotten away from doing it God's way, to be honest, and using the resources and going to the source, the ultimate source, who designed the body and knows what the body needs. And the reason why we're sick and we're dying of every disease and we're bombarded left and right and we don't know what to do is because we've gotten away from the source, the creator who designed us. We've gotten away from his food that he created for us, and man has manipulated that. Man has come in and has counterfeited the food, counterfeited the herbs. People are going to get on me, I'm going to say something, but carrots is not really a food. I'm like, oh, carrots help with my vision. Does it? Does carrots have a seed? No, it doesn't. It's not reproduced. And potatoes, this is thing, starch. Now, we've grown up eating this stuff. We've grown up eating from our families, our mother's table. Our parents were not educated on this. Remember, we were brought we were brought into slavery into this country. And I keep telling you, the reason why we're in the position that we're in is, I'm asked this question to the people. Did our food come with us on the slave ships? As an African or African American, did our food come with us? Did our food come over with us? Let's go back, 400 years, 400, 500 years now. Did our food come with us? So if you take I'm going to give us an analogy that Dr. Sebi gave, and it blew my mind. He said, if you take the gorilla, which is one of the strongest animals, land animals, if you take the gorilla out of its natural habitat, out of the Congo, and I go and I take it and I put it in the North Pole, I put it in Alaska where the polar bear is, and it's eating the polar bear's food, will it survive? Will the gorilla survive off the polar bear's food, in the polar bear's environment, in the polar bear's habitat? And then will it survive? No, it can't. It's going to be sick, and it's going to die, and it's going to be exposed to certain diseases and viruses that it was never created to be exposed to. If I take the polar bear out of its environment, out of its natural habitat and away from its food, and I put it over in the Congos of Africa in the gorilla's environment, and it's eating its food, will it survive? No. So you've taken a people, right, a race of people away from its natural inheritance and its habitat, its lineage, its food source, for it to operate and function and think on an optimal level. And we're more susceptible to certain diseases like anemia, and our iron is low, and we're cold, and we have sickle cell and multiple sclerosis. Okay, these
Wow.
are diseases that the African American female, male and female, that are susceptible to, because we are not eating the foods that we were designed and created to eat. Now, this is for all people, but I'm talking for our community as the African and African American community. There are certain foods that we were not designed to eat. We have to go back to our lineage, back to our history, and eat the foods like fonio, teff, aramata. These are ancient grains. When I'm not talking about your flour, your white flours and your corn,
Wow.
and your potatoes and your starch.
You better watch out. I like my chicken now. I like my chicken fried. And so, once again, but she's telling us, once again, ladies and gentlemen, the cavalry is not coming. The creek is rose and the levee is giving way. It's up to us to save us. We have to begin to bet on ourselves. She's given us tools that we can use in our own community, not outside of our community. And I think about the Latino store that's over by Lafayette Square. They have specific foods that they eat. They have specific foods that they eat. They do. If you go to some of the, I think it's called Jamaica Breeze, you go there. there are certain Jamaican foods that they eat that
Mm-hmm.
is not on the menu. We have our quote unquote soul food. That is our way of eating, but it's
Which
not a
is not
healthy
good
way.
for our soul. We are
Yeah,
soul,
it's
and
not good for our soul,
it's not
but
good for our
it's
soul.
not good. So once again, to prove what Takara is saying is that we have to change. She's giving us some things, and I'm going to put her information down here to where you can get in contact with her, so that uh, you can purchase some of the things that she's talking about, because it's not readily available. I can't go into Kroger's and get CMOS. Okay, I
There you
can't
go.
go into Walmart, the grocery store, and get CMOS. So we have to go and find out where these places are at and get and produce where they people who are educated about this stuff and they can purchase it.
And it's in our international markets. You can go into your Latino markets and you get your mangoes, you get your papayas, you can get a lot of your seeded fruits and your vegetables and stuff in some of these international markets. Mushrooms are another good thing, except shiitake. But mushrooms are a good have a high amounts of fiber. Your quinoa, you can. There are certain foods that you can get in your Kroger's or your Walmart. Get your quinoa. Quinoa in is an ancient Greek. Quinoa is rich in minerals, is rich in fiber. It's rich in iron. Quinoa, instead of eating white rice or brown rice, wild rice and quinoa are extremely healthy. Your hemp, I love hemp. I put whole. You can get a whole hemp, and I put. We're not talking about CBD hemp. Don't get it twisted, okay? Don't be confused. But hemp seeds or hemp, whole hemp, they are antioxidants. They're rich in your fiber and your minerals and all the things that you need. You can just put it in your. I put it in my smoothies with my Irish sea moss, right? Because it has the sea moss alone has all the minerals that you need. If you're doing this, this is not a one-time. I can take this stuff and everything is gonna be, good. Again, this is a lifestyle, and this is something you have to incorporate into your life consistently to see the effects. So usually in a short period of time, after you've removed a lot of certain foods, one thing I'm going to recommend that if you possibly can, number one, Cepeda, and you mentioned this and we talked about this before we got on, fasting is extremely powerful. If you have a specific dis-ease, if you're dealing with some kind of kidney issues, or you're dealing with hemorrhoids, or liver or thyroid issues, one thing that you can do to heal faster is fasting. Fasting heals faster. Fasting is
Wow.
extremely powerful. This is biblical. This is not new. People know this. We're getting into the people's talking about intermittent fasting. I do it naturally, sometimes not on purpose, but I notice that my body recovers when you literally stop. Sometimes we just got to stop chewing. One of our family friends says people chew too much because that's why we got a little more weight on us, because we constantly chewing. The body takes time to heal, number one. And the digestive system, depending on the food that you're putting in your body, if you're eating meat, specific meats like pork or beef, it takes 5 to 6 hours for that one food, that meat, to digest. You're not created to eat every 2 to 3 hours. You shouldn't even be eating maybe more than every 5 to 6 hours, because the body needs time in order for the digestive system to digest the food that you ate. If you eat and then you turn around within an hour or two or even 3 hours and consume, the digestive stops. The digestion process, it stops. And that is why we have
Wow.
major illnesses in our problems in our country is constipation and acid reflux. Because we're constantly chewing. We go out, we're eating, right? We eat for fun. Again, I'm going to repeat. Food is for fuel, not for fun. We eat, we go out, we eat, we go to a party. We're getting ready to come into the holidays. We just had Thanksgiving, right? 30 days in now, we getting ready to go into Christmas, right? And guess what? And then you got New Year's, and what we doing? We're eating, and the body is all helter-skelter and out of whack. We have to stop for a minute, allow the body to rest. And you have to allow the body to actually, there's a word we use, Sabbath or Sabbat It means to rest. And when we allow the body to stop and rest, the body will do what it was designed by our creator to do. It will heal any disease. I don't care if it's HIV, AIDS, leukemia, cancer. Put the body on a fast. And then as you're fasting, there's a process, and that's something I can consult individually with depending upon the person's disease, because every individual is different. Every process is different depending on the individual.
Wow.
But one of the main things we have to understand is fasting is extremely powerful to shut the body down for a short period of time in order for the body to recuperate, to replenish, to restore, to renew, and to revive itself back into appropriate health. We have to take back our own health. Your health, your healing is in your hands.
Well, hey, Takara, what is some of the foods? And I know you saying, hey, we shouldn't be snacking all the time. But what are some of the foods that we can, if you're going to snack, what are some of the foods that we can use, that we can consume?
Okay.
Blood pressure and sugar.
Yes, I used to love to snack. I had a problem with sweets, sugar. My problem wasn't dairy and meat. And that's one of the things we have to come off of is dairy. As African Americans, dairy affects us greatly. And I'll talk about that. But one of the things that you can snack on is stuff like dulse and raw seaweed, nori, fruits. Apples, except Granny Smith and I think the red delicious apples, those are a little more acidic. Again, we're talking about alkaline in the body, not eating foods that have a pH above 7.4, 7.5. So you want to eat things like dates. Dates are extremely healthy. Tamarind is extreme. I love tamarind. People have heard of tamarind. They're in different parts of the islands. Africa, people eat tamarind. Africa has a lot of the foods that we need to be eating. One thing I like eating raw seaweed. Some people were like, girl, I can't, that stuff smells, and I can't do no seaweed. Seaweed is extremely good. A lot of your fruits, papaya, just cutting up some papaya, your seeded grapes, okay, your berries, just getting a handful, raw walnuts. The walnut is actually shaped as the brain. Walnuts are a brain food, okay?
Wow.
Your walnuts, if you look at the walnut very carefully, is shaped as the cerebellum, as the cerebrium, which is the brain. It's a brain food. So getting a handful of walnuts every now and then.
We used to eat that a lot.
Yes. One of my other favorite snacks that I also like to eat are sprouted pumpkin seeds. The sprouted pumpkin seeds, they come and look, they're little. I get a big bag of them, and you can just eat. You know how people eat peanuts and nuts and stuff? Sprouted pumpkin seeds, they're a good, nice little snack to snack on, so you're not, stopping and eating fast food. Sometimes you have to put stuff in the car. I'll keep some, like a little bowl of fruit, maybe some cut up papaya or I love mangoes. Mangoes is one of my favorite fruits of all time. I believe that was the forbidden fruit God told him not to eat. But I love the mango. The mango mango is actually good for women who are fighting and dealing with breast cancer. It has the phytonutrients in it. It has tons of antioxidants in it.
These are some of the things that you guys, when you're driving down the street, instead of you veering off and going to McDonald's with your kids, you can have some mangoes in your car.
Dates,
give them to your kids. What about raisins? Is raisins good?
Raisins, is like the dry, if they're coming from the seeded grapes, yes. A lot of times when the raisins contain a lot of sugar, so you have to be careful. I prefer and recommend dates. You want to sweeteners like stevia. It's not good. People say, I use stevia. No, if you're going to sweeten anything, sweeten it with I recommend agave, which is a plant, agave nectar, raw organic agave for sweetening your foods. Also, I recommend date syrup. Date syrup is actually a good natural sweetener. Not really, I don't recommend maple syrups a lot. It's the sugar content in it. So if at all possible, sweeten your foods with fruits. Sweeten your foods with fruits, with natural fruits, your berries, raspberries, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries. They have high amounts of antioxidants. I wish I'm working on something right now, a product of my own that is going to be a meal replacer, kind of more of a replenisher, and it's going to contain certain foods in them and herbs, and it'll be a one-stop shop. You know how people want convenience, and people don't like to cook, or they don't have the time to cook. So these are certain things. And I know this is a journey, and it's not easy, because once you've been set in a certain, if you're 40, 50, 60 years old, and you've been eating a certain way for so long, I know it's tough and hard to change, but you have to make that step to change your lifestyle if you want to live. God created us to live and not die. He said, I come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. He says, yeah, he says, I wish above all things that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. So your health is your wealth. Without your health, you don't have wealth. You can be the wealthiest person on the planet, a billionaire, but if you ain't got your health, then you can forget it, because your wealth can't go with you to the grave. So it's important for us to really begin to consider healing our diseases. You do not have to walk around here on insulin. You do not have to walk around here on dialysis. There's something a lady of, actually the daughter of Alfredo Bowman said, and this was so profound to me, and every time I say it, it blows my mind. She said, how can you have a righteous thought if your food is unholy? How can you have a righteous thought when your food is unholy? Again, it goes back to that gut-brain connection I was talking about. When we're eating foods that are unholy, as she said, you can't have a right thinking or a right mindset, right? Someone said, my friend here said, fast food, fast life, right? Fast food, your life is gone, right? Fast life, right? If we don't begin to consider the temple that God created, he said that, do you not know that your body is a temple? Right? Our body is a temple, and our body was designed to operate and function on a certain level. And the reason why we have COVID and all of these other diseases happening is because we've gotten out of the order that God designed. We've gotten out of the God designed order. God strategically designed and ordered specific foods for us to eat. He said clearly, you may eat of every food and herb yielding a seed. He clearly said also in the book, I think it's in Revelations, that the herbs were for the healing of the nations. The herb were for the healing of the nations. That concludes all people of all genome and of all race. And so there are foods. If you look in some of our other international stores, and they say to stay on the outside of the store, not the inside, where all your processed, your foods that contain artificial flavoring. I'm going to say this: your foods that contain crap, okay, that stands for carbonated, that's what the C stands for. Refined, that's what the R stands for. The A stands for artificial, and the P stands for processed. So that's crap. When we're eating crap, you're going to feel like crap.
Wow.
I experienced COVID. I'm going to share my testimony quickly. I know we're going to get off of here soon. I got COVID, so they said, and this was around my birthday of this year. This was in April. It hit me out of nowhere. Like while I was driving, it was like, it just came down. I was like, I felt it. It's weird. I can feel exactly when my body is, something's happening. It's like, it struck me. I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right. And I knew exactly what to do. and I was having the upper respiratory issues of the breathing problem. And I'm going to answer this question by, I think it's Adenia. I can't pronounce that correctly. Do you have to be vegan to truly follow this diet? It's not about being vegan or vegetarian. Let me clarify that. We're using these words, vegan, vegetarian. Again, this is a lifestyle, and you can be vegan and still be sick and dying, because fried French fries from McDonald's are vegan, and beer is vegan. Okay, so vegan or vegetarianism, it really is about eating foods that electrify the body, eating plant foods that contain these certain elements: carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Our bodies are made up of carbon. This skin tone that I have, the skin tone that that Cepeda has, it's not. I know this is a myth, and everyone says, "Oh, I got my melanin is popping. Look at my melanin. Oh, my melanin." It's
Sound
not
like Sierra. Sound like Sierra. My melanin.
my melanin. It's a popular phrase, and it sounds good. And we got shirts who say melanin. It's just that I have more carbon in my. I'm made up of more carbon than my Asian or my Latino or my Caucasian peer. It's not melanin, it's carbon. Our bodies are made up of elements. If you go back and if you remember school, and if you remember chemistry and you learn about elements, the periodic table, guys remember that? The periodic table in school, which I was not great at. I didn't care for chemistry. It's funny how I'm learning a lot of this stuff now. But our bodies are made up of certain elements, and we need like magnesium and zinc and carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Our plant foods contain those. You don't need the animal product, your dairy and your meat. Bypass that. Okay, you're going to a third party to get it, which it doesn't make common sense. Go straight to the source, which is the plant that contains the carbon, the C.H.O, the carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. That is what our body needs to heal. That is what our body needs to have fuel and to function and to move on an optimal level.
Okay, so now Takara, I'm going to ask you some bullet point questions because we got to get ready to get out of here. This has been great. If you have missed it, you have missed out. Her name's Takara. Her VI Zion phone number 765.
Vision restored.
Vision restored. Takara, I have some quick bullet point questions. What is a restaurant that you highly recommend here in the city that has these type of foods that you recommend?
Woo, that's a tough one. That's a great question. Ooh.
Or do we have any here?
It's funny you said that because a friend of mine is like I cook for her when she's trying to lose weight and get healthy, and then she wants specific alkaline foods that I know how to make. There are a few restaurants. There's one that I recommend. There's 3 Carrots. I've been there. They have pretty decent food. You just have to know the foods. A lot of restaurants have decent food, but you have to know, and there's a nutritional guide, and I'll actually have to post this as well, and people can know.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll be able to go onto my website. I'm going to post it onto my website, and you can call Takara at this number, and we can find out that for you.
3 Sisters is another one. There's another one called, there's the 3 Carrots, and there's one called, I think it's called 3 Sisters. I went there with a girlfriend of mine, and it's on Broad Ripple. They serve more plant-based foods here in the city. I mentioned 3 Carrots. There's another one called Ezra's. It's another one. Hello, Abdul. There's another one. Ezra is also a good. They close early, so a lot of these foods you have to really know what to eat. There are places you can eat. You can get avocado. Take an avocado if you can. There's some people who are allergic to avocado. I have a girlfriend that's allergic to avocado. But again, we have to put people who are allergic to certain foods. They're not designed to be allergic to certain foods. The reason why they're allergic is because the blood, we have to cleanse the blood. So you have to go through a certain process and then reset the body. It's called intracellular cleansing. And that's something we'll have to get into another time. Okay. But intracellular cleansing is It's just as what I said, it's called cleansing of the cells. Because the body, the cells renew and replenish itself every so often, depending upon the body part or depending upon the organ. So, but yeah, there are a few restaurants around here that offer a lot of good food. You just have to be educated and know what you're consuming, what foods to eat, and what to choose.
Once again, call to car. The Calvary is not coming, ladies and gentlemen. The creek has rose, the levee is giving way. I couldn't ask for a better end of the year topic, a better end of the year person, the better the end of the year to talk about what we get ready to talk, what we get ready to eat going into the new year. Takara, you have knocked it out of the park. I thank you for coming on to the show. I thank you for being a part of what we're doing. Hopefully, you have tagged somebody. You can catch us on Facebook. You can catch us on LinkedIn. You can catch us on Twitter. You can go on YouTube, type in my name, Cepeda Jackson. This will pop up. Share it with somebody. Let somebody know during the holidays. There's no reason why you should be sick after you've watched for a whole month on how you can heal yourself. The Calvary is not coming. The creek is rose. The levee is giving way. It's up to you to save you. Vision is out there. She's going to be launching her company next year.
Mm-hmm.
Look for that. We're going to be there. We're going to show up. She's going to have all types of foods there. Hopefully, quote unquote, wink, wink. We want to push her when she opens up her restaurant to where we have that food there. I'm going to be one of the first ones that are going to be there. The question is, will you be betting on yourself? Will you be one of the first ones there? Or are you just going to sit back on the wayside and say, hey, listen, I got all this information and I'm still got diabetes. I'm still overweight. I don't have a six-pack like Cepeda. And what is going on around here? So we have to save ourselves. Once again, why I was asked the question, Cepeda, why are you talking about health for a whole month when we can be bringing on other businesses and other things? The number one reason why people file bankruptcy is because it's a medical bankruptcy. It is not because they made poor financial decisions. It's not because their business went upside down. It's because their bodies broke down. That's what it was.
Wow.
That's why I spent the whole month. I celebrate you today. Takara, you have completely inspired me to maybe get a 12-pack now. So you have inspired me to get a 12-pack. So the Calvary is not coming. The creek is rose. The levee is giving way. It's up to us to save us. Ladies and gentlemen, her number is at the bottom. There's no reason why you can't call her.
Make 2022 a year of health, a year of vision. Have a vision for your health. A year of vision for your health. 2022 can be your year of healing, your year of restoring your body, your year of replenishing and renewing your body. Make 2020 be a year of turnaround in your health of whatever you're going through.
That being said, that's the last word we're going to have. Thanks again to Cara. Once again, the Calvary ain't coming. The creek is rose and the levee is giving way. The next time I talk to you, it will be a year. It will be a new year. We will come on at the first week, the first Wednesday of the new year after the first of the year. Get onto my webpage. Get onto my Facebook Live. Follow me on Instagram. We're going to be getting businesses coming on here. Takara, do you want to have final remarks before the new year, before we start the new year?
Again, I'm going to repeat again. Take back your health. Your health, your healing is in your hands.
Once again, if you are wanting to know what type of snacks, she has some products available. What are some of the things that you have that's available that people can purchase right now?
So right now, what I have, I make consistently on a regular basis. I make Irish sea moss. I make it into a gel. They can purchase it from me. They can DM me. I can get it out to them. I have friends I was just doing it in my local area here. We're here in Indianapolis, Indiana. But I just have friends that are actually like, can you send me some? Can you ship me some? So Irish sea moss, just to start out, I have it in a gel so they can purchase it from me. I have it for sale for $25 just for a jar. If they want more, they can get a discount on it depending on how many they purchase. I also do some of the herbs. So if they're needing specific herbs, they want to start taking on some of the herbs. But again, before you start taking herbs, one thing I do need to mention, Cepeda, is that people have to be willing. Again, it's a mindset to let go of some of the things that has got them into the position that they're in when it comes to their health. They have to remove things. You can't put new wineskin on old wineskin. So some things have to be taken away before. So we have to go through a consultation on that. But again, if you need anything, people can call me. They can DM me also on Facebook, Messenger, Instagram. They can reach out to me also by email as well. Cepeda has access to all that information. But right now I have herbs available, and I do have sea moss, also Irish sea moss available if you would like to purchase Irish sea moss.
Okay, so once again, we want to give this disclaimer. Make sure that you contact your physician to make sure you're not allergic to any of these things. And we're not saying that this is the magic bullet, but what we are saying that these are some of the things that we can supplement our eating habits to do better. So once again, thank you, Takara. This has been a great time. If you missed it, you can catch us again on Facebook. You can go on my timeline, go on my webpage. Also, you can go onto YouTube, type in Cepeda. You can pull this back up. Share it with your friends. Share it with somebody who you love, who's overweight, who's struggling with some of these issues. If you have some iron deficiencies, call Takara. She can help you get to some of the stuff that can help you. Once again, I'll say it once again. This has been a fabulous year, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a year of historical events. The Calvary is not coming. The creek has rose. The Calvary is not coming. The creek has rose. The levee is giving way. It's up to us to save us. Once again, I thank you for allowing me to come into your home for this 1 hour and talk about generational wealth. If you have any questions, you can DM me, call me, let me know what you think. Send me an instant message. Send me comment on the page. And most of all, do one thing for me. Share this with 5 people. Share this with 5 people. Share this link. You can download it, listen to it while you're in the car. It's on YouTube. Get us out there. Takara, thank you once again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you a million times. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you're missing your health, health is wealth. Once again, thank you for allowing me to come into your health. Till next time, till next year, keep betting on yourself.
Merry Christmas.
Do not stop betting on yourself. You can do it. You can take control of your own destiny. Bet on yourself. That's the message for this year. That'll be the message for next year. Thanks again for allowing me to come into your house today. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.